we are working on 5B, which is slope and intercept form. Our content objective is students will be able to graph linear functions using the slope and intercept. You're going to find that after today's lesson, graphing is going to be a lot quicker, so you definitely want to pay attention. Our language objective is students will be able to explain the steps to graphing linear functions using slope and intercept form. Why am I learning this? Well, it's important for graphing linear functions quickly. You'd be surprised. What used to take you a few minutes is probably now going to take you under 20 seconds probably. So here just some background knowledge. Before in the past, when we took a look at slope, all we were doing was trying to find the change in y over the change in x, which I've referred to as delta y over delta x. Delta is basically a triangle. It means change or difference. Okay. So the slope has a vertical change or a change in y of 2, and the horizontal change or the change in x is a positive 3. That's how we get a slope of 2/3. You're going to notice that 2/3 can be found here in your equation. Now, what about the y-intercept? The y-intercept is the point where the graph crosses the y-axis. That's going to occur right here. That's called the y-intercept, and it occurs at 0, -1. Now, if you look very carefully, this -1 can be found in your equation here. So now, here's what we call slope-intercept form. It's going to take the look of y equals mx plus b, where m is the number that represents the slope, and b represents the number that represents the y-intercept. So I'm going to typo here. Let's change that. That represents, oh wait, that's right. So here, let me give you a quick example. So my y-intercept is 0, -1. So what is b? B is the y-coordinate. So here I would say b equals -1. So let me give you some more examples. If it went through the origin, 0, 0, what is b? B is the y-coordinate, so I would say b equals 0. Here, if the y-intercept was 0, 9, what is b? B again is your y-coordinate, so it would be b is 9. So those are some quick examples of what b is. Again, it's just your y-coordinates of the y-intercept. So now let's go ahead and go into our very first example. It says here in the instructions, using slope-intercept form, which friendly reminder is y equals mx plus b, to identify m and b from each equation. So here, m, just a friendly reminder, is asking us for the slope. And then b is asking us, hey, what is your y-coordinate and the y-intercept? So let's take a look at the first 3 problems. So first thing that I like to do is kind of remind myself the y-intercept form, which can be found here, y equals mx plus b. I'm going to go ahead and write it on top of this original equation. I'm going to say y equals mx plus b. In this case, I am reminded that the slope is 3, so I'm going to write that down. And here, the y-coordinate of the y-intercept is going to be 5. So I'm going to say b equals 5. So notice I'm stressing that the 5 is only representing the y-coordinate. Because if you would write it as a y-intercept, it would still be written as 0, 5. So notice it's just the y-coordinate for that. So now let's look at the next example. Once more, I'm just going to go ahead and write down the slope-intercept form just above my equation. Y equals mx plus b. So in this case, the slope is 4/5. And then the y-coordinate of my y-intercept is -1. So I'm going to put b equals -1. Once more, the y-intercept would be 0, -1. So b represents the y-coordinate of the y-intercept. Now let's try the last one here. I'm going to put y equals mx plus b. So notice here the slope is a -7. So I'm going to write that down. M equals -7. Here, notice there is no y coordinate for the y-intercept. Does it mean there isn't one? No. If you want to, since there's nothing here, you can fill it in as +0, which means the y-coordinate of the y-intercept is a 0. So here, what does this mean? The y-intercept occurs at 0, 0. So again, this is just your y-coordinate. Notice every single time my y-intercept had to have an x equals 0. But all they're really asking for is for m, whoops, let's use a different color. All they're asking for is for m and b. So this is all they're asking for. So hopefully you can still read that. Okay, so now what I want you to do is go ahead and pause the video and try the next 3 problems on your own. Just FYI, number 5 is a little bit tricky, so go ahead and try that one out. Okay, so now let's see how well you did. So first things first, I'm just going to go ahead and write the equation just on top of mine. So y equals mx plus b. So it's a friendly reminder that m is paired up with the variable. So in this case, what is m? The slope is, what's in front of this x? I see a negative, but I'm not going to put the slope as negative. There's a number in front. Hopefully you recognize that there's a 1. So I would say the slope is -1. Now what is the y coordinate of the y-intercept? I would say it is 3. So again, just a friendly reminder, the y-intercept is actually at 0, 3. B just represents the y coordinate of the y-intercept. Now here, number 5, I told you, number 5 is going to be a little tricky. So here, just to remind myself, I'm going to write down y equals mx plus b. So here, what is slope? Slope is your coefficient. So notice here, we don't have a coefficient. So what does that mean? Our slope is 0. Okay, so what about my y-intercept? Sorry, not my y-intercept, my y-coordinate of the y-intercept. Well, in this case, the y-coordinate is representing the constant. So since 4 is my constant, I'm going to say it's 4. But just a friendly reminder, once more, the y-intercept would actually be at 0, 4. 4 is just representing the y-coordinates in the y-intercept. Now, last but not least, we're going to write this down once more. Y equals mx plus b. Here, the slope is your coefficient, so that's going to be your 2/5. And your b, which is the y-coordinate of the y-intercept, is going to be a -1/4. So here, what is that? What is the actual y-intercept? It would have been 0, -1/4. So once more, this is just an extra detail that I want you to recognize. They're not asking you for this. I just want to show you how this 4 is being pulled from. So hopefully you weren't fooled by number 5 and you weren't intimidated with number 6 just because there's fractions. It's the same idea. Now moving on. Now, what if they asked me to use slope-intercept form y equals mxb? By using this form, we need to use the slope and the y-intercept to write a linear equation in slope-intercept form. Okay, so let's check it out. I'm going to be given 3 problems to do with you, and then I'm going to have you do the next 3 on your own. So first things first, it needs to follow the form y equals mx plus b. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and use this form. Okay, as we're learning, I suggest you write it down every single time to help you remember. So I'm going to write y equals mx plus b. Now something important that you need to understand is the only numbers we're going to be replacing is m and b. You're going to notice y and x are going to stay the same. They will not change. So here I'm going to write m equals, instead of y equals, did I say m? Y equals m, which is a -2, so I'm replacing this m with -2. I'm going to keep the x, and now here I'm going to add b. Since b is a +6, I will put plus 6. And that's it. There's my equation. Moving on to number 2. Same idea. Y equals mx plus b. That's slope-intercept form. All I'm going to be doing is replacing m and b. So here I'm going to get y equals, what's m? It's 3/7, so I'm going to replace that with 3/7. X, then I'm going to add b, which is a positive 1. So since it's positive, I'm going to put plus 1. Look how easy this is. Okay, so last one here, I'm going to go ahead and write the form y equals mx plus b. The only thing that we're going to be replacing is once more just m and b. So my final equation is going to be y equals, m is going to be replaced with 0, x, plus b, which is -5. So notice I'm not going to write plus -5. I would just simplify that to just -5. Now, one more thing. Would I write 0x minus 5? No, because 0 times x is 0. So that would only leave me with y equals -5. So that would be my equation. And that's all there is to it. So what I want you to do now is go ahead and pause the video and try numbers 4, 5, and 6 on your own. Okay, so let's see how well you did. In this problem, you would end up with y equals 1/8 x. Did you get that one right? So notice I wouldn't put plus 0 because there's no point in that. Okay. Number 5, the answer would be y equals x plus 6. So notice in this problem, I didn't put a 1 in front of the x because it's not necessary. We don't normally say 1x. We just say x. Is it wrong? No, but at this point, as an 8th grader, I want you to realize it's a better, let's say, practice to put x instead of putting 1x. Here for number 6, the correct answer would be y equals a -1/2 x plus 10. So how did you do with the 3 examples? Did you accidentally leave in the 1? Did you accidentally put the add 0? Is it totally wrong? No, but would I prefer you not to do it? Absolutely. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and keep moving on. Now here is the nice feature. We're actually going to try graphing these equations using slope and the y-intercept. So first you're going to plot the y-intercept. Then you're going to use the slope to plot at least 2 ordered pairs from the y-intercept. So y-intercept is our starting point. It's our initial value. And then once you've done that, you're going to simply draw your line through the points, making sure they extend through the graph. So let's try it here. Step number 1, start at the y-intercept. So here, this -2 is b. Okay, so in this case, what is the y-intercept? The y-intercept would then be 0, -2. Again, b represents the y-coordinate, and that's how I would get the y-intercept. So I'm going to go from 0, -2. Now I'm going to use my slope. My slope is this value here, which is 3/5. Slope is the change in y over the change in x. So delta y over delta x. So here there's a change of a +3 and there's a change of a +5. Okay. So here I'm going to go, since it's +3, I'm going to go up 3, 1, 2, 3. Since it's a +5, I'm going to the right because that's the horizontal change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, if I could continue to go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and over 5, I would, but notice I'm going to fall off of the graph, so I'm going to stop. Now, I have another option because 2 points isn't enough for my liking. I need at least 3 or more. So here, what could I do? I can now do the opposite. What is the opposite of a +3? A -3. What's the opposite of a positive 5? A negative 5. So in this case, negative 3 would mean 3 down, and negative 5 would mean 5 to the left. So let me try that. Starting from my y-intercept, aka my initial value, I'm going to go down 3. 1, 2, 3, and to the left 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, I'm going to check to see if I can do it once more. 1, 2, nope, it falls off. So at this point, all you're expected to do is draw in your line, and you're done. So notice it doesn't take very long, so using this method is going to save you a lot of time. So now, let's jump on to the next example. I'm going to repeat the same process. Here, I need to first start with my y-intercept. Here, I can identify that B is 3. Once more, B is just your y-coordinate for the y-intercept. So here, I can say that the y-intercept is at 0, 3. So that's my starting point. So I'm going to go from 0, 3. This is where I will start. Now that I know where to start, I'm going to have to find what my slope is. Here, whoops, let's change the color. My slope is a 2. So notice slope is your change in y over the change in x. So delta y over delta x. So here, my only issue is the number's 2, but it needs to be a fraction. So what am I going to do? I'm going to put it over 1. So here, the change in y is a positive 2. The change in x would be a positive 1. So what does that mean? It's going to go 2 up and 1 to the right. So let's try that. I'm going to go 2 up, 1 to the right, 2 up, 1 to the right. So notice I keep going until I run out of space. Now, since I've run out of space, I'm going to go the opposite direction. So this is the same thing as going negative 2 over negative 1. So I just did the opposite of the 2, which means I'm now going to go 2 down and then 2 to the left. So let's try that. 2 down, 1 to the left, 2 down, 1 to the left. Notice I keep going until I fall off my graph. 2 down, 1 to the left, 2 down, 1 to the left, 2 down, 1 to the left. At this point, I have enough points to go ahead and draw in my line. So that's exactly what I'm going to do here. And there you have it. You have your graph. So notice, again, this takes a little time in comparison to drawing a table and plotting all your points. Okay, so now moving on. Here is our next problem. I want you to go ahead and pause the video and try this one by yourself. Okay, so we're back. So let's see how well you did. First things first, you need to identify your y-coordinate of your y-intercept, which is B. B equals negative 3, which means the y-intercept is at 0, negative 3. So I'm going to start there, 0, negative 3. This is my starting point where I'm going to begin. Now I need to figure out what my slope is. So in this case, my slope is 5/2. So the change in y, delta y, over the change in x, which is delta x, is going to be a positive 5 over a positive 2, which means, since we're talking about the y-axis, that's going to be up or down. So since this is positive, it's going to be up. And the x-axis is a left and right motion. So since it's positive, it's going to go to the right. So here, I know the instructions. It's 5 up, 2 to the right. So 5 up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2 to the right, 1, 2. Here's my first point. Keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. Perfect. Now that I've extended as far as I can go, I'm going to try the opposite direction. So instead of going positive 5, I'm going to do negative 5. And instead of doing positive 2, I'm going to do negative 2. So here, since it's the vertical change, that's going to go 5 down. And since this is my horizontal change, that's going to go 2 to the left. So let's try that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops, it falls off of the graph, so I can't do that anymore. At this point, I'm just going to draw my line. And let's try that one more time. And there is my line. So hopefully that's what you got as an answer. If you did, awesome. If not, let's try one more time. Whoops. So go ahead and try, go ahead and try number 4 by yourself and see how well you do. So we're back. Let's see, what did you get? First, I'm going to have to start at my y-intercept, and the way that I do that is identify what is b. B is 3, which means my y-intercept is going to be 0, 3. So starting at 0, 3, this is where things are going to start. I need to then identify my slope. My slope is -4/3. Slope is delta y over delta x, which means the change in the y coordinates over the change in the x coordinates. So it's going to be -4 over +3. So the change in y is the up and down motion. So since it's negative, that means 4 down. My change in x is my left and right motion. So since this is positive, it's going to go to the right. So let's go ahead and let's do 4 down, 3 to the right. So 4 down, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3 to the right, 1, 2, 3. And then since I ran out of space, I'm going to go back here and do the opposite. Okay, so what's the opposite? Instead of doing -4, I'm going to do +4. And instead of doing +3, I'm going to do -3, which means this is going to now go 4 up and 3 to the left. So let's try that. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 3 to the left, 1, 2, 3. Keep going, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So again, look how quick and fast it is to graph. At this point, simply draw in your line and you're done. So hopefully you got that one right. If not, you might want to pause the video and rewind and practice it a couple more times before you move on. Okay, so now moving on to the 5th example. This one's a little bit tricky, but I have faith in you. Go ahead and pause the video and see how well you do. Okay, so let's check. What did you get? First, you need to start with your y-intercept, and the way that I go about doing that is identifying b first. B is +4. Let's change the color. B is +4, which means the y-intercept is 0, 4. So that's where I'm going to start. 0, 4. Now what I'm going to do is look at my slope. Notice I don't have a number in front of x. So what does that mean? There is a number 1 in front. It's just usually not written. So slope is the change in y over the change in x, which I read as delta y over delta x. So notice here I need a fraction, but I don't have one here. So I'm going to have to put it over 1. Okay, that's how you make a whole number into a fraction. Put it over 1. So here the change in y is -1. The change in x is 1. So what does this mean? Again, y is the axis that runs up and down. So since this is negative, I'm going to go 1 down. The x-axis represents the left and right motion. Since this is positive, I'm going to go to the right. So I'm going to go 1 down, 1 to the right. So 1 down, 1 to the right, 1 down, 1 to the right, 1 down, 1 to the right, 1 down, 1 to the right. I'm going to continue this until I fall off of the graph. Now that I've run out of space, I'm going to do the opposite. So instead of doing -1, I'm going to do +1, and instead of a +1, I'm going to do a -1. So for the y-axis, if it's positive, that's going to go up. Here, since it's a negative, since a horizontal change, it's going to go to the left. So starting here, I'm going to go ahead and do 1 up, 1 to the left. So 1 up, 1 to the left, 1 up, 1 to the left, 1 up, 1 to the left. So by this point, simply draw in your line. Whoops, draw a better line than that. And you're done. Cool. So hopefully you were able to get this one right. And now for number 6. This one seems to be tricky for some students, but this is actually one of the easiest problems. It's telling you right now, y equals 3. So here's what I'm going to suggest you do. Anytime you get an x equals a number or a y equals a number, it's going to be this easy. Well, first of all, understand that coordinates are written as x comma y. So in this case, they're telling you, hey, y is 3. So first of all, I always tell you when you're plotting ordered pairs, you at least need 3 points. So I'm going to go ahead and draw in 3 blank ordered pairs. And I'm going to follow their rule. Their rule is y needs to equal 3. So I'm going to go ahead and put 3 as all of the y coordinates. So what am I going to put for x? Whatever your heart desires. You can pick whatever value you want. I would suggest you pick small numbers. So here I'm just going to pick -1, 0, and 1. So I'm going to go ahead and plot my points. -1, 3. Check. 0, 3. Check. And 1, 3. Guess what? That's all you need. Simply draw your line and you're done. Okay? So now, don't let this fool you. This is actually very simple. Now, it's not in your notes. I'm going to actually give you another example. What if you were also asked to do x equals -1? What does this mean? Again, you're going to follow the form x comma y. And how many ordered pairs do you need? You need 3. So I'm going to put 1, 2, 3. In these examples, I need to make sure all of the x's equals -1. So I'm going to go ahead and put -1 for all the x values. Now, what do I put for the y values? Whatever your heart desires. I mean it. Whatever number you want. The only thing I would suggest is make sure the numbers are small enough to fit on your graph. So here, just to prove that I can pick whatever numbers I want, I'm just going to do this time 1, 2, and 3. So now I'm going to graph them. -1, 1. Check. -1, 2. Check. And -1, 3. So here, we're just going to draw in our line. And this line here would represent the x equals -1. So please, once more, don't let these very simple problems confuse you. They are the easiest types to do. Okay? Now, moving on. Actually, you know what? That concludes our lesson for today. So hopefully you feel a little bit more comfortable now graphing some equations. You realize there is a shorter and quicker way to doing it. And hopefully that helps you. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, bye.